Welcome to the deep dive. Today we're plunging into something really vast and honestly pretty mind-bending.
We are. It's the interstellar civilization known as the culture.
Yeah, and the source material it's dense. You've got this incredible mix of high-tech space opera, deep espionage, and some really heavy psychological trauma.
Absolutely. And identity itself gets very blurry. It's all woven together against this backdrop of, well, the culture.
So our focus today, our mission, if you like, is zeroing in on the culture's, let's say, darker side, their intelligence arm, special circumstances.
SC.
Exactly. We're looking at these documents, trying to piece together the story of one of their key operations. It involves a handler, Diziet Sma.
Who seems quite pragmatic, quite collected.
Right. And her agent, Cheradenine Zakalwe, he's, let's just say, highly effective but very unstable.
And this is all happening while a massive war is about to break out across an entire star cluster. The sources give us these, like, fragments, don't they? Glimpses of unbelievable technology, fractured memories, really difficult moral choices about when or if you should interfere.
So the goal here is to take all these pieces and try to build a clearer picture of how SC operates in these extreme situations. What justifies deploying agents who, as the text says, live in the moral equivalent of black holes?
Yeah, and what kind of tech allows them to do that? And maybe more importantly, what's the human cost? The psychological toll on the people involved.
Okay, so before we get to SC specifically, maybe we should set the scene with the culture itself. What is this civilization?
Well, fundamentally, it's hyper-advanced, post-scarcity. Think total technological mastery.
Yeah.
They're guided by this philosophy of good works, that kind of optimistic belief in progress.
And they famously try to avoid power just for power's sake.
Right, the day-to-day running, the big decisions, that's all handled by these incredibly powerful, generally benevolent AIs they call minds. They manage everything.
Which leads to the big question, the paradox, right? If the minds run everything so well and they believe in not interfering, why does special circumstances even exist?
That's the crux of it. It seems to come down to this deep-seated faith in the future. They genuinely believe their way of life, their model, is superior, maybe the best path for sentient life.
So, covert meddling is okay, even like ruthless manipulation.
If it prevents what they see as greater suffering on a huge scale, then yes, that seems to be the justification. And to pull that off, they need people on the ground, agents.
People like Sma and Zakalwe.
Exactly. Sama is the experienced handler, very much the face of SC pragmatism. Often travels with her drone companion, who's quite a character itself.
We'll definitely get to the drones. But Zakalwe, he's the wild card, a mercenary, a soldier.
Yeah, former one. And sources emphasize he's constantly being repaired and made good again after every mission, basically.
They even mention his aging was stopped, stabilized as part of his payment. That alone shows you the kind of medical tech they have. Near immortality, just to keep him in the game.
To keep him doing these, frankly, awful jobs.
So what's the immediate crisis they're dealing with in these documents?
It's in the Vornhutz cluster. War is brewing, looking inevitable. It's being pushed by this group called the Humanists.
And their ideology sounds chilling.
It is. They're pushing for aggressive, ecologically damaging terraforming, basically wrecking existing worlds for their own use. And worse, they have this concept, a sliding scale of sentient rights.
Ugh. That phrase just says it all, doesn't it? It basically means they can decide who counts as sentient enough and who doesn't.
Precisely. It's a framework to justify oppression, even elimination, of species they deem lesser. So yeah, full-scale war seems baked in unless something changes politically fast.
And that's where the mission comes in.
Right. Sma needs Zakalwe, specifically him, to extract someone. A retired but still hugely influential political figure named Soldran Beyche. He used to be called Kompol. The hope is that if Beycheri reappears publicly, makes a statement, he might be able to swing the political balance away from war towards peace. But he's hidden away.
How hidden?
Very. In a secure library annex, like 100 meters underground in a major city, Yarn Surimal. Needs a specialist extraction. Needs Zakalwe.
But Zakalwe, he has a history, doesn't he? The sources mention past failures, big ones.
Oh, yeah. Because he's not just a tool. He has this deep, almost compulsive need to do good. But his methods are chaotic.
Like what?
Well, previously he tried this grand plan. He got hold of the culture's retro-aging tech. The same stuff keeping him young and tried to sell it to aging dictators.
Seriously? What?
In return for promises. Promises to stop mass killings, change their ways. He thought he could buy peace with immortality.
I can guess how that turned out.
Spectacularly badly. It didn't work. One key dictator died unexpectedly after being de-aged, which just threw gasoline on the fire. Accelerated the instability he was trying to stop.
So SC uses him because he's like this, not despite it.
It seems so. His recklessness, his flawed drive to save people, sometimes makes him do things a more stable agent wouldn't. He breaks the rules. SC seems to factor that chaos into their plans.
Okay, so if you're going to run these incredibly complex, morally gray operations, you need the tools. Let's talk about the tech SC has at its disposal. It sounds staggering.
It really is. And you have to start with the minds. The AIs running the whole show. The drones like Skaffen-Amtiskaw, Sma's partner. They're essentially, well, think of them as highly intelligent, mobile extensions of the minds.
But more than just computers, right? Skaffen-Amtiskaw sounds like it has a real personality.
Absolutely. It provides tactical support, analysis, sure. But it also makes witty remarks, even kind of sarcastic comments. It's machine intelligence that perfectly mimics, or maybe has, genuine sentience and personality.
I love that detail in the source about Skaffen-Amtiskaw making a flower chain.
Yeah, using invisible force fields, just casually manipulating matter with infinite precision for something completely whimsical.
It shows that weird mix of immense power and almost boredom. Or maybe just a different perspective on what's important.
That contrast is key to understanding the culture, I think. You see it in their ships, too. The GSVs, General Systems vehicles. Names like Size, Isn't Everything, or Congenital Optimist.
These aren't just warships, they're enormous.
Kilometers long. 80 kilometers in one case mentioned. Basically mobile worlds held together by force fields. They contain forests, towns, civilian populations just living their lives.
So these giant vessels are like floating platforms of culture society drifting through space, observing.
Very much. They're self-contained ecosystems, both literally and culturally, which probably reinforces that sense of detachment SC needs to operate.
And when they do need to project force, the weaponry sounds terrifyingly effective.
Understatement. Take the knife missiles. Tiny, fast, almost undetectable.
There's that one description.
Oh yeah, it's vivid. A single missile makes an invisibly quick circle, kills 7 attackers, leaving them in 14 separate pieces.
But at the same time,
it slices the bonds of the hostages without harming them. It just returns. It's surgical lethality. Extreme violence combined with extreme precision and, again, that kind of detached elegance.
And then there's that bit about Zakalwe test firing a plasma rifle. The detail is just wild.
It really is. This rifle can fire, almost 45,000 rounds a second, a massive energy weapon. And what does he shoot at for target practice?
Not scrap metal, not an asteroid, but dyed black ice.
Dyed black ice. Because, as the source notes, the GSV they're on hasn't got any decent rubbish to shoot at.
Which tells you everything about post-scarcity, doesn't it?
Exactly. They manage resources so perfectly, recycle everything so completely that there's literally no garbage. They have to manufacture targets for weapons testing. It shows their incredible power, but also this. Indifference born from having essentially infinite resources. Destruction becomes almost an abstract exercise.
So the tech is overwhelming. What about the people, the culture citizens themselves? You mentioned modifications earlier. If machines do everything, why change the body?
Well, if machines handle all the hard stuff, thinking, working, fighting, traveling, what's left for the biological organism to be good at?
Experience. Pleasure.
Exactly. The common biological mods citizens choose are often about enhancing experience. Extended duration of pleasure, glands that can synthesize recreational drugs on demand. It's optimizing the body for a life where the main point is, living, experiencing, feeling, since everything else is taken care of.
Okay, this brings us back to Zakalwe. Because all this tech, this detached philosophy, it relies on agents like him, and he's profoundly damaged.
He is. His effectiveness seems tied directly to his instability. The sources mention frequent blackouts, memories that are just fragments.
And he's haunted, right, by this image of a battleship, the Stabarin.
Yes, it keeps coming up. He even used it as an alias once. It's clearly a symbol of something deep in his past, something he can't escape.
And the source of that trauma, the core of it, is horrific. It's about the chair.
The chair. It's the memory that seems to define him. He remembers finding his sister, Darkens, finding her bones.
After she died.
Yes, and finding that his cousin, a man named Elithiomel, had used her bones, fashioned them into a small wooden chair.
Oh my God. It's sort of the monstrous. Just pure, senseless cruelty.
That's the kind of trauma that shapes a life. And you see it manifest physically, perhaps in those blackouts he suffers.
But this is where the whole narrative just shatters, isn't it? Because Sma finds him, brings him back into the fold for this base mission.
And she mentions his other sister, the one who survived, Livweda.
And just saying her name is like twisting the knife.
It is. Because here's the massive twist. The secret Sma and SC have known for centuries.
Yeah.
The man they call Cheradenine Zakalwe.
Yeah.
He isn't Cheradenine Zakalwe, he's Elithiamal.
Wait, he's the cousin? The one who made the chair?
He is the perpetrator, not the victim's brother.
So the agent they've been patching up, trying to make good again, is the monster who caused the original trauma. How is that even possible? How long?
For nearly 200 years, according to the sources. The real Cheradenine Zakalwe died back then, apparently shortly after receiving the chair from Elithiamal, a final devastating act.
And Elithiamal just took his identity.
Stole his name, his identity, maybe trying to escape his own past, maybe seeking some kind of twisted atonement. And Sma knew, SC knew, they were handling the chairmaker all along.
Using his guilt, his trauma.
Leveraging that deep psychological damage. That need to somehow make amends for unspeakable acts committed under a name that wasn't even his.
Wow. So the entire foundation of his service, his identity, it's a lie.
A profound one. And when Livweda, the surviving sister, finally confronts him, confirms the truth, the shock is immense.
The body literally can't take it.
No. The source describes a massive brain hemorrhage. The drone immediately flags it. Aneurysm. The weight of 2 centuries of deception, of living a stolen life built on monstrous actions, it causes a physical breakdown.
It shows how completely that false identity was woven into his very being. The tech that kept repairing him instantly has to go into overdrive to save the man who is fundamentally broken by the revelation.
No. So finding out that Zakalwe is actually Elithiamal, the chairmaker, that kind of reframes everything about special circumstances, doesn't it?
It absolutely does. It brings us right back to Sma's own definition of what SC does, where they operate.
What was that quote again?
She calls their domain the moral equivalent of black holes, where the normal laws, the rules of right and wrong that people imagine apply everywhere else in the universe, break down.
So in these black holes, using someone like Elithiamal, a mass murderer, a psychological torturer, that becomes justifiable.
That seems to be the implication. If normal morality doesn't apply, maybe you need morally compromised agents to achieve the desired outcome. It requires a level of pragmatism or maybe cynicism that's hard to fathom.
We see that reflected in Bajan too, right? The politician they rescued. Exactly. After the extraction, he's not relieved, he's tormented. He knows that just staying silent, refusing to take a side, is itself a political act that lets the war happen.
And he doubts the culture's motives. Are they really helping or just using him?
He constantly questions it. Are they disinterested helpers or just incredibly sophisticated manipulators playing a long game? He's looking for some kind of moral certainty, some sign they aren't just using him like a piece on a board.
But the source material suggests that kind of certainty is maybe impossible to find.
It does. There's that parable, the one about the king and the 2 books on souls.
Oh, right. One book argues souls exist, the other argues they don't.
Yeah, and the king keeps ordering the authors to switch the conclusions every few years, publish the opposite finding under the same authority.
What's the point of that?
The implication seems to be that absolute objective truth, especially on the big questions, might be fundamentally elusive, or maybe just irrelevant to those in power. If certainty isn't achievable, then perhaps the culture feels justified acting on its superior knowledge and capabilities, regardless of the moral ambiguity.
Which puts the agents, the ones actually doing the dirty work, in a terrible spot.
A really terrible spot. They have immense power, incredible technology, but no solid moral ground to stand on. Just orders from the minds.
It leads back to that quote about soldiers.
The alien's observation, yeah. To be good at soldiering is a great curse.
Meaning the best operatives, the most effective ones like Zakalwe Elithiamal, have to function without full understanding.
Often, yes. They fight battles where they don't know the whole picture, sometimes maybe even fighting for what looks like the wrong side in the short term, all to serve the larger, often incomprehensible strategic goals of the culture minds. They are ultimately tools. Highly sophisticated, deeply damaged tools used until they break or are remade. #outro.
So we've journeyed through some really extreme territory here. Unbelievable technology, centuries of deception, identity theft on a core level, and this idea of morality just dissolving under pressure.
I think the main takeaway, for me at least, is how, in this universe, technology offers almost godlike power, liberation, Immortality post-scarcity.
But also the potential for incredibly sophisticated control, manipulation, and the justification of almost anything.
Right, and the source material leaves us hanging with this deeply uncomfortable question, doesn't it?
What actually makes a self? What makes an action right?
If a machine, a drone, can be programmed or evolved to perfectly mimic human consciousness, witty commentary and all.
And if a man, a murderer, can literally steal someone else's body, their identity, their trauma, and then spend centuries trying to atone, or just survive under that stolen name.
Where does responsibility even lie? What separates genuine selfhood from just sophisticated programming or a desperate act of survival?
And if you operate within one of these moral black holes, as SE does, believing that normal ethics break down, what's the ultimate cost? What price do you pay for wielding that kind of knowledge, that kind of power, especially when your goal is supposedly good?
That's the burden Elithiamal, the man who stole the name Zakalwe, has to carry. Still seeking purpose, maybe, after everything. It's, yeah, a lot to think about.